Welcome back to our journey. Psalm 74. We find ourselves with a emphatic prayer, an emphatic prayer in Psalm 74. I hope it maybe is a little bit of transformative in amongst your prayer life, as it lays in front of God some demands. I mean, this psalmist is speaking to at this time. Is most likely in the Israel exilic time period that they are in exile, and that the temple in Jerusalem had been ruined, it ransacked, they burned it to the ground. And there was worship. A lot of historians speak to this psalm as that there was still worship going on at the ruined temple, because it was the place where God met his people. And so they didn't even want to give up that space. So they worshiped at the ruins, and they would read this psalm and being able to speak it aloud, because it is a prayer for help, but such an emphatic prayer, such a open, honest prayer of just saying, is humiliation, this temple being brought down to its ruins, is this reality? Is this what God had in store? And they feared that, but they also kind of tried to look out and said, are our enemies really truthful? Are they? Is this going to prosper? Kind of coming from Psalm 73, as we did yesterday, is God's judgment and wrath, is that the thing that's going to come through our community? Or is his love and mercy, his salvation, going to redirect this somehow? And that's where all these twists and turns that Psalm 74 takes. It's a great psalm, a great prayer. And it shows realness. It shows authenticity. Of being able to say, what do you really pray? Over the last couple of months, my prayer life has become very, very placing the things that I feel that are the will of God right in front of Him in my prayer life, as well. To put the promises of God right before Him, to put the forgiveness of God right before Him, if this is really true, to put stuff that really impacts my life right in front of Him, and being open and having this conversation that I'd have with a close member of my family, or someone in particular that I'd have that open conversation with. And that's what we get to see, and just a beautiful thing in Psalm 74. So let's read it together. And like I said, it's during the time period where they're off in exile in Babylon, and their temple is in ruins. So you're going to see how that really shapes in these first verses. Why have you rejected us forever, O God? Why does your anger smolder against the sheep of your pasture? Remember the people you purchased of old, the tribe of your inheritance whom you redeemed, Mount Zion, where you dwelt? Turn your steps toward these everlasting ruins. All this destruction the enemy has brought on the sanctuary. Your foes roared in the place where you met with us. They set up their standards as signs. They behaved like men wielding axes to cut through a thicket of trees. They smashed all the carved paneling with their axes and hatchets. They burned your sanctuary to the ground. They defiled the dwelling place of your name. They said in their hearts, we will crush them completely. They burned every place where God was worshipped in the land. We are given no miraculous signs. No prophets are left. And none of us knows how long this will be. How long will the enemy mock you, O God? Will the foe revile your name forever? Why do you hold back your hand, your right hand? Take it from the folds of your garment and destroy them. But you, O God, are my king from of old. You bring salvation upon the earth. I hope you got to see in this psalm right here that you saw the first part, where it's questioning, is this devastation forever? When does your word come to us again through the prophets? Always asking these questions of God, because they're in this trial, they're in this circumstance, in this situation. So whenever we find ourselves in those situations, we always ask those same questions. Why, God? What do you have me do now, God? What does this mean for my future, God? All these questions going forward. But the number 12, you see the two sections here in this psalm. There's 11 verses before, and there's 11 verses afterwards. And 12 is the climax of this psalm. And 12 says, but you, O God, are my king from of old. You bring salvation upon the earth. You're going to be able to answer this, God. I know who you are. And you're going to answer my questions in a way that's going to be fitting and, frankly, a blessing to me. And they go on here, verse 13. It was you who split open the sea by your power. You broke the heads of the monster in the waters. It was you who crushed the heads of Leviathan and gave him as food to the creatures of the desert. It was you who opened up springs and streams. You dried up the ever-flowing rivers. The day is yours, and yours also the night. You established the sun and moon. It was you who set all the boundaries of the earth. You made both summer and winter. Remember how the enemy has mocked you, O Lord? How foolish people have reviled your name? Do not hand over the life of your dove to wild beasts. Do not forget the lives of your afflicted people forever. Have regard for your covenant, because haunts of violence fill the dark places of the land. Do not let the oppressed retreat in disgrace. May the poor and needy praise your name. Rise up, O God, and defend your cause. Remember how fools mock you all day long. Do not ignore the clamor of your adversaries, the uproar of your enemies, which rises continually. A plea for mercy, a plea of God's hand of salvation to come once again in and amongst a situation that just seems devastating. And so maybe you can take this into your life. Maybe you are in devastation mode and you're asking God why. Well, I hope that you can come to the climax, or frankly the thought and the remembrance again, because as remember, remember, remember is used over and over again, that last stanza of Psalm here, the last part of the Psalm, he's remembering, reflecting that God is a king, that he's brought salvation. And that's good enough. Even though there's destruction in my life, even though there's things happening in my life, I have a God that is all powerful, that defeats every creature on this creation, that can spread the waters in the breath of a word, that can create with his mouth by just saying things. He is all powerful. He is the king. He is the king of salvation. And I pray that we can go forward with that knowing, that knowledge of how powerful our God is. And he's a God that we lay our requests, open, honest, authentic requests, right into his throne room, because he wants to talk to his dear children. I pray that we can pray in that way this day. Have a blessed day.